Now we have that with the women one. Are women exactly the same as men or better? Now, we're running several programs at once in our society. Women are absolutely the same and a bit better. How? Not small sources. Christine Lagarde, head of the IMF, repeatedly said in the decade since the crash that if Lehman Brothers had been Lehman Sisters, it might not have happened. Why? Why? Either women have equal competence to men in the financial system, or they're different and better. So which is it? Christine Lagarde, head of the IMF, keeps on pumping out this idea, they're better. We wouldn't have financial crashes if we had women more prominent in finance. It's very hard to sustain all of these ideas in your head at the same time and not go a bit mad.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? Because that her argument is actually one that I personally agree with, which is I think if we had more women in those industries in the top positions,
right,
because women are they're more risk averse,
right,
on average, right, and there are other differences between men and women on average, you may well end up with a company behavior that is different if you have more women in those positions. But what that requires you to accept, of course, is that men and women are different.
And great bit of virtue signalling there, Constantine.
I'm not sure that's virtue signaling. I'm going to get in trouble just for saying it.
No, but also, I mean, again, if we got to that stage, you then have to work out, do we want less risk in the banking sector? And if so, is it the case that we need to pump women in order to do that more? What are the sectors where we need I mean, this isn't a new motif, the idea of the pacifying female force to stop the rampaging male. But where are, for instance, the occasions when we might need the rampaging male? You know, there must be times.
Oh, loads. Well, firefighters, police officers, etc.
Right. And we have all of these endless, painful, dementing campaigns to get more women in the fire service and persuade them that this is the career for them, and then we're just horrified at the fact that the stats don't seem to be going up in enough order, and I just think it's something we know, it's something we can't talk about, and so we've decided to lie about. But one of the interesting, I'm going to get onto cuttlefish if it kills me.
Douglas has been trying for 35 minutes to get to the cuttlefish. But it's a great example, and I do want you to talk about it.
Because I think the clever people, the socially advantaged people as well, you might say, work out how to get through dementing eras a bit faster, and can do so and then lambast the people who didn't make it, didn't catch up in time, didn't alter their behavior and their language fast enough. And the clearest example of this, I would say, is in the behavior of males towards women in the sort of post-Me Too era. And when I was researching The Madness of Crowds, I had the great pleasure of speaking through some of the themes of it with a bewildering array of friends in a bewildering array of different disciplines. One of my favorite conversations was with a friend who's a biologist who just one day was describing to me the behavior of the cuttlefish. There's a form of this which is the mimic octopus as well, but the cuttlefish have an extraordinary interesting thing about them, which is that there is a type of cuttlefish where, because the male to female ratios is bad, it advantages the females against the males, and because the females tend to go around with their male cuttlefish, it's hard for the male cuttlefish who are single, bachelor cuttlefish, you might say, to
incel. I think.
No. These are not yet incel cuttlefish. They could become incel cuttlefish, but they have a strategy, and their strategy is that because the female cuttlefish is smaller than the male cuttlefish, the male cuttlefish, in search of a bit of action, can pretend to assume the form of a female, and they become smaller. And because the woman is going around with her consort male cuttlefish, and the male cuttlefish is alert for other cuttlefish competition, they pretend to be smaller. They go around the female. The male thinks that they're not a threat, and by being small and diminutive, they get through, and then they have their wicked way. Now, the moment this friend said this to me, I just said, "Oh my God, I know so many men doing that. I know so many men.
It's a creepy male feminist.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
is the creepy male feminist." And by the way, I had a very specific example of it. A colleague of mine, the Spectator, Freddie Gray, had covered the Pussy Hat protests, the anti-Trump protests, the Women's March, just immediately after the inauguration in 2017. And he had told me that among very interesting things that happened that day, and again, none of this is to say that, what people were complaining about, that Donald Trump wasn't, didn't have any legitimacy, or that he'd behaved like a perfect gentleman. I think we can probably all agree that wasn't the case. But what was interesting to me was what this colleague told me about something that happened at the end of the day, because there are all these young men from the sort of, Ivy League young men, among others, who are on the Women's March, and there's a party afterwards that this colleague friend turns up at, and all these men are standing around. I can't do the American accent, but I can do the British equivalent, which is like, so totally like on board with this, like, fuck Trump. And they're all doing this, and like, totally support, like, and that's when the women are around. And when the last woman leaves this particular group to go off and get some beer, one of the other guys goes to the other, "Oh my God, dude, I can't believe how much pussy there is in this room."
But it's funny, isn't it? Like we have an example of it right now. We're recording this in the moment of Justin Trudeau being chased and harassed and whatever for.
By the way, how much did he black up?
Yeah.
I mean,
It was almost a fetish at one point.
We've got 3 on video already, but presumably there were just evenings he just sat at home, not on video, just enjoying a bit of blacking up. I mean, it's...
Well, he actually said he doesn't know how many times he's done it.
Yeah.
Well, we
I
thought
don't blame
everyone...
him. I've been branding up all my life. So.
Yeah, everyone's got to have a hobby, haven't they?
But the thing with that is that dressing up as a lad, and to me, I don't see what's racist about that. I don't think it's...
I don't think we need to actually destroy Justin Trudeau for that reason.
No. But the hypocrisy of it, this woke chieftain of the universe, being the guy who's doing the blackface,
Yes.
to me is an inevitable reality.
Don't you find it might be evidence of the existence of God? Don't you think? We've all been searching for it. We've all been searching for it, and it comes in the form of Justin Trudeau blackface.
Justice and karma, I love it. But actually, none of the 3 of us are believers, of course, but perhaps we'll be converted by this very incident.
Maybe,
The iconography would be really confusing in future generations. Yeah,
well, he does work in mysterious ways, so there we go.